Fuck up number one, Patricia Parkinson. She had a founding fantasy and it met with a terrible fuck up. Tonight, Patricia will share her cautionary tale of blind optimism and what happened when she sold her soul for sweet, sweet equity. Patricia.
First fuck up of the night.
That's probably ours.
Okay. It began with coffee and a potential freelance gig. 6 months later, I was broke, angry, and without recourse. I had fucked up massively.
We can't hear you.
Can't hear you. You're back here.
But let's begin with coffee. That soy latte with honey turned out to be an invitation to co-found a small but promising startup. We decided my coffee companion, the majority stakeholder, would be the hustler, focused on all things business development. The other co-founder would be the hacker, focused on technology, and I would be the hipster, focused on all things creative. It was the beginning of my entrepreneurial dream. I was graduating from being a solo entrepreneur to joining an alliance that can lead to the greatest of successes or failures. And my mind went wild with delusions of grandeur. Of course I'm going to be successful. I love what I do. I'm really good at it. And now I have the support of others committed to the same vision. And we're going to create something remarkable together. For the too long didn't read version of my story, after chasing a dangling carrot of billion-dollar financial figures, dedicating 6 months of my life, forgoing significant salary, and relocating to a different country, myself, my co-founder, and the rest of our team, except for the hustler's brother, were booted from the company that we worked so hard to build. With over $100,000 indebted to us today, and a long legal battle under my belt, we've been left empty-handed because we skipped important steps and because we should have known better. But by the end of this nightmare, I had learned 3 crucial lessons. Always get it in writing, money changes everything, and resilience is key to long-term success. We were building a technology product for the entertainment market. We had a world-class team and some of the biggest players in the world on board as partners. We had all the ingredients we needed for success, as long as we could actually follow through. And it was a whirlwind. We were meeting with Hollywood studios, respected industry leaders, and our mission resonated. We were really hitting our mark. And talks included percentages of billion-dollar figures, and launching within months. And despite assurances by the hustler that my experience was valued and my commitment was valued, I didn't feel confident what I was bringing to the table. I fell into a pattern I'd found myself in many times before, feeling lucky to be involved instead of the company being lucky to have me. And I know showing up in this way created the dynamic that followed. Which leads me to my first lesson. Always get it in writing. So at the beginning of any venture, the legal side of things, get it out of the way early. I knew I needed legal counsel and a signed agreement before I committed my time, energy, and money to the business, but this didn't happen. Being less than experienced in equity structuring, vesting periods, cliffs, legal responsibilities, as a shareholder, I should have done my homework and made sure that everything verbally committed to was followed up in writing. A prerequisite to success is being able to negotiate your way through patches of deep uncertainty. Not having control of critical stuff like contracts is killer to most entrepreneurs, but it's essential. Your ability
What happened?
Your ability to read the plays, but not appear jaded, over-judgmental, or too cautious.
Sorry, Patricia.
It's critical.
Where's the...
I speak really loudly, I'll just do that. This means having in place pre-agreed terms.
No, it's hard.
No?
Turn on. It's turned on. Just turn that mic on.
Hello.
Yay!
This means having in place pre-agreed terms and plans to minimize your own sense of anxiety from not having control. And this was especially relevant in my case, where I'd be a minority shareholder. I knew my weaknesses in business, and that got in the way of feeling like I had a right to speak up. And I feared that I'd rock the boat, and I'd cross a critical line, and I'd jeopardize the opportunity that I was really excited to be part of. I trusted that hustler, and I let him lead me, but he didn't have my best interests at heart. I was excluded from important investor negotiations. Each of our team were divided and conquered on a one-to-one basis, and we were stalled time and time again on why we had not received our shareholders' agreement. And most of this came in the form of acting like it wasn't important, so it could be deferred, or it's in our best interest to wait until this or that event happened and we can make a better sound decision. But the lure of huge money and naive trust and mutual reliance and respect blinded me. So in faith, I waited and continued to work tirelessly to progress our goals, bring in people to my network, and build our product. 5 months later, I still had no agreement. Never let the excitement of an opportunity sway you from getting the terms of your partnership in writing. My second lesson is money changes everything. At this point, we had relocated our team overseas, and we were all on board and committed to the vision, but we had some housekeeping to figure out first. So I sat down for the conversation, and I discovered the original intentions no longer matched the reality of what was happening. And this was a major warning sign that I was being cut out of important decisions and that things weren't above board. So I spoke up. When money's on the table, motivations change. And this is natural. That's why it's important to have terms agreed to early before money complicates things. 2 weeks later, I woke up and found out that I was locked out of my company accounts. I couldn't access Slack, Trello, email, and there was a posting to replace my role on a Facebook group. And this is how I found out I was being forced out of my company. But here's the complication. I had been working for sweat equity, which meant I diverted my salary early on to use that money to continue running the business. And the agreement was that money would be converted into equity. But that never happened. And I fought fruitlessly for my legal rights to these debts. But as a limited liability company, particular loopholes and protections exist that meant I ended up with zilch, yet the product continues to exist today under a new entity. Which leads me to my third lesson.
Patricia, hold the mic close.
Resilience is key to long-term success.
See, she's keeping at it.
Learning over time. The entrepreneurial path is taken by those with an appetite for risk. Swimming with sharks is a thrill, but getting a risk of getting bitten comes with the territory. Your ability to cut your losses and regenerate is the ultimate life skill that will define your long-term success. The startup zone has no ethical checks or balances, and there's people out there with hidden agendas. And looking back, there was many red flags and warning signs I ignored because I was just so excited to be involved. And part of these warning signs were subtle manipulation that turned into bullying. But like projects and ideas of the past, things didn't work out. But this time, the impact was much more resounding. I was financially, emotionally shattered, and my life was thrown into chaos overnight. I was filled with animosity and anger and feeling of helplessness for broken promises, false pretenses, and the feeling of being taken advantage of by someone who knew the game better than I did. At least at first. I had a special escape plan, just for scenarios like this. I'm lucky to be someone whose character is defined by my resilience and my grit. And I've earned it. Because resilience is a muscle, not a personality trait. If you exercise it, you must fuck up. Often. And there's many fuck up stories that could have come and shared tonight. So I've flexed this muscle many times before. And with time, my anger subsided, and I was able to reflect and anchor onto the positives. I now know the game much better than I did before, and I'm far less likely to be burned again. So even though my pockets are a little bit lighter, I've grown wiser because of this experience. I've learned it's okay to hope for the best, but to always plan for the worst, and this means getting agreements in writing. I've learned to do this early, before money and success are nearing the horizon of reality, and I've learned to bounce forwards when things don't go to plan. It cost me 6 months of my life, relocating to a different country, thousands of dollars, and a chunk of my self-belief to learn these lessons. It cost me dearly, so I must value this highly. And while I won't be repeating it, I will be fucking up in other ways. And I encourage you not to feel jaded by the risks of business, but to keep showing up and to keep fucking up. And to know that eventually, the worth of your fuck-ups will outweigh the cost.
Thank you very much, Patricia. I'm going to stand over here with you because it seems to scream at me every time I go near Mikhail. Does anybody have any questions? Chris does.
Are you still in contact with the original
Hustler.
and his brother? And what product should we not buy?
No, I am not in contact with either of those two people. We let our lawyers be the intermediary for quite some time now. And I don't think you need to worry about the product too much, which was kind of nice, as this was a cathartic exercise for me to share the story. It's a year later, almost this month. And today I kind of found out that other people picked up on this little con artist, not just me. So it looks as though, karma does kind of come around, which is nice, and I don't think you'll come across it. Yeah.
What do they say? Karma's a bitch. Anybody? Bueller? Okay, Ivor will do one. Don't fuck up, Ivor.
I was just going to ask, you always have fuck-ups, but then in hindsight, you look at it and you go, but it brought me to this point, and that's a real positive. What would you take out of it in hindsight that is the positive that came out of this whole fuck-up?
He did. Yeah, I did. He said it twice.
There's so many positives for me, and this really catapults me into the nomadic lifestyle I'm living now, but the main one is I was working with someone who is really experienced and highly respected in the industry, and even though, looking back, I feel confident I am too, at the moment I was just in awe of that person's skills because they were in a different area than mine were. And I didn't value myself as highly, and I didn't look at what I was bringing to the table as valuable as what they were bringing. So any kind of business conversation I walk into now of a similar nature, I go in with that unwavering confidence, and that was well worth that fuck up.
Okay, thank you. Will's got one.
Will's got one?
Yeah, what's the next fuck up?
What's the next fuck up?
See you in 2 hours.
I'm writing a book. There's definitely going to be a lot of fuck-ups as I'm part of that journey, so I look forward to people like you helping me weave around those.
Thank you.